So, it is completely clear that you were not honest during the testing, and I think you already know that. You did not pass the polygraph test.
Okay.
Okay. So now we need to talk about what actually happened. I feel like you're probably ready to do that.
I didn't lie to you on that polygraph, I promise.
Chris,
I know.
Chris, stop. It's time. Just stop for a minute. Take a deep breath. I want you to take a deep breath right now.
The Chris Watts partial confession during his August 15th, 2018 interview with FBI Special Agent Graham Coder and CBI Agent Tammy Lee was truly a pivotal moment in the investigation. This was the interview where Watts finally admitted to killing his wife, Shanann Watts, though Chris initially continued to lie about how and why it happened. I'm going to go into a detailed breakdown of that interrogation, including what led up to his emotional breakdown and his request for his father, Ronnie Watts, to enter the interrogation room, ultimately triggering his partial confession. Now, for those who have missed part 1, 2, and 3 of this true crime documentary series, I'm going to go ahead and provide the video links down below in the comments section and pin it to the top. Let me go ahead and summarize some context for you as what happened before the August 15th interrogation. So back on August 13th, 2018, Shanann Watts and her daughters Bella, who was 4 at the time, and Celeste, who went by CC, who was 3 years old, were reported missing by her friend Nicole Atkinson. Chris Watts initially claimed he had no idea where they were and gave multiple interviews to the media begging for their safe return. Police then quickly became suspicious of his calm demeanor, lack of concern, and his inconsistencies in his story. The surveillance footage from a neighbor revealed Chris backing his truck into the driveway early that morning, which contradicted his claim that he left for work as usual. Then he failed a polygraph test on August 15th, which was conducted by CBI agent Tammy Lee. After the failed polygraph, Chris was confronted by Lee and Coder in a recorded interrogation session.
There's a reason you feel sick to your stomach, and when people hold stuff inside, it makes you physically ill. And I can just tell on your face, I could tell from the second you walked in that you were wanting to just come clean and just be done with this. And I appreciate that because you knew sitting down in that chair that you weren't going to pass today, and you knew I was going to find out because I told you that. And then you continued to stay knowing that you could, at the end, say, you know what, I just need to get this off my chest. Like, I just need to tell you what happened. We're not here to play games. We're not here to do any of that with you. We just want to know what happened. So can you start from the beginning and tell us what happened?
Everything that I have told you, I did not lie on this polygraph. I don't know how much I could tell you right now. Like, I did not.
It's not even an option right now because you did not pass the polygraph. So I know you were being deceptive. So that's not even an issue right now. The issue right now is what happened to Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. That's the issue right now.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Holding this lie in is going to do nothing for you.
I know this. Like, okay. I'm not, like, trying to, like, cover things up, like...
Yeah, but you kind of are, because it's normal. Normal people would do that. Normal people that make a mistake initially are going to go, I don't know what you're talking about, I didn't do anything. That's normal. I would expect that. This is where the rubber meets the road, Chris. Like, don't let this continue any longer, please.
I'm not trying to make anything continue. Like, I want them back home, like...
But you know they're not coming back home. You know that.
I don't know in the back of my head. I hope they come back home.
But you know they're not.
I hope they come back home.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know they're not coming back home. I do not know where they are at. If I could have my babies back home right now, I would. I want them back. I want everybody back. That is the God's honest truth. But
you weren't here today lying about something else. So we need to talk about that, okay?
I cheated on her.
I know. And this is very good. Keep
I'm not proud of it. Like, I don't think anything like that could happen. I don't think I'd ever do it, but I did.
I know. Keep going.
She accused me of it. I denied it. I cheated on her, and I feel horrible for it. Like, she was pregnant, and it was, I cheated on her. I hurt her emotionally. I cheated on her. And I feel absolutely horrible about this, but that's what I've been holding. I think that when I didn't go to the Rocky game, I was with her.
Okay.
I went to dinner with her.
Okay.
When I tell you I fell out of love, I fell in love with her.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, that's God's honest truth.
Okay. Who is her?
So I don't want to get her involved in this. I don't want to ruin her life. Like, it's something like this. I don't want her involved in this.
Okay. So can we talk about that a little bit?
Yes.
I knew that you would say you didn't want to get her involved.
Because
you'd like to take care of her.
She's a wonderful person. Like, I mean, she knew I was married, yes. And I told her we were going through issues, yes.
Yes.
And I told her that, we were going to get, at the end, like, we were going to get separated. Like, once I figured out what that was, I didn't know what that was going to be.
I know.
I had no idea. I was like, I saw her, took my breath away, and I'd never thought in a million years that could happen.
I know.
I don't even think I'm a figure, but it was, I never felt that way about anybody in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm. I don't think this girl did anything to hurt anybody, but I can't walk out of here wondering. So, can we leave her out of it?
Okay.
Get back to your wife and your daughters.
Okay.
Where are they?
That I do not know. That was what I was holding back. Like, I didn't know, what I did. I know.
Chris, in the interview today, you weren't asked about infidelity. You were asked about...
I was holding back from last night.
That's
when you
what
talked.
you feel today.
That's not how it works. You would have reactions to every single question, not just the ones that we talked about being important.
So, going into that interview today with Tammy, where we strapped you in, we knew all about Nikki. Okay? All about her. And you're doing a very good job right now, because you didn't have to tell us about her, but you did.
I could hold that in anymore.
I know. We could see it in your chest, I can't in your eyes. Okay? Here's the challenge that we have. We knew about Nikki, and so we didn't need to ask you about her in the polygraph. We just didn't need to, because we knew. Okay? And so that's why we didn't ask you, because we already knew the answer. Okay? We're very, very worried about your daughters and your wife.
I am too.
Okay? This should have been the happiest time of your marriage. Okay? Even Shanann, this should have been the happiest time. She's making a little money, she's making good money. You're making great money, you both have a job, you have beautiful kids, you have a beautiful house, you're in Colorado, clean air, good people. Okay? And on top of that, you look pretty good now. You're pretty fit. Okay? This should have been a time in your marriage where you guys were happy and thriving and productive. Okay? And I believe that Shanann's the reason none of that happened. I believe that she's a controlling person. Maybe doesn't listen to you as much as she should. I think if you were to go to a restaurant, she would order whatever the hell she wants. And as soon as you order a nice steak, she says, whoa, buddy. That's because you're a good person. And I think that she started on the path to leave the marriage. Okay? It's ironic that we're talking about you and Nikki. I think that she was the one who started on that path first. What do you think about that?
I wouldn't have thought about that.
Okay. And the other thing I think is interesting is, even though she is that type of person that's controlling, doesn't listen, does what she wants, is walking away from her kids, here you are defending her. And that's the reason why we want to give you an opportunity today to just help us find them. Okay? Will you do that for us?
I'll do whatever I can to help find where they're at.
Okay. So when she asked you, do you know where they are, or are you going to tell the truth about where they are, you failed miserably.
Okay.
Why?
I'm a nervous person. Like every question I asked, every question, it felt like I wouldn't even say the right thing.
That's not how the polygraph works.
I don't know, like, what it reads like through. I know she was saying about autonomy of the process, but like, I don't know where they're at.
Chris, right now your dad's outside. He flew across the country to help you. Okay. You're lying to him.
I want to find them. I've told you over and over, I want to find everyone.
Can you understand that some of this just doesn't make sense? Okay. How is it possible that a woman and 2 kids are just completely gone off the face of the earth?
I promise you, I have nothing on my hands I did nothing to those kids or her to make them vanish. When I left, I mean, it's on video that I left and I was in my truck. I didn't like load anything into my truck besides my tools, my container, my book bag, my water jug, my lunchbox.
Okay. But then what happened?
I drove out of the driveway.
No, before you drove out of the driveway. What happened with your wife and your kids?
I didn't do anything like that. They were still in the house.
Where are they? Where did they go?
I don't know, sir. I really don't know.
Your wife's not the type of person to vanish.
I know she's not.
She had 10 things on her schedule that meant she was going to be there the next day, that day, then the day after that, with friends, with a doctor. Okay? She didn't leave because she wanted to.
Right.
So what happened?
I didn't do anything to her or the kids.
Was it an accident?
I didn't do anything.
Was it an accident?
There was no accident. If there was an accident in the house, I wasn't there for it.
It's a big deal if it's an accident, because we can work with that, Chris.
No.
There's no, maybe what happened.
I did not cause an accident. I didn't do anything to my wife and kids.
I just find it hard to hear you talk about just having this emotional, conversation with Shanann, and you're bawling and crying together, and you have not shed one tear in 2 days that you've been here.
No.
Not one. And help me understand that, because I don't get it. These are your baby girls. And you have not shed one tear over them not being around. I have not seen any of that from you at all. Help me understand that.
I love those girls. I would never do anything just because I haven't shed a tear. You guys,
That's weird. Is that weird?
Don't look into that like I don't love my kids.
Tell me, explain to me. You're crying with your wife that you're leaving her.
Yeah.
But you don't cry that your 2 little baby girls.
I'm hoping they're still around. I'm hoping they're still somewhere.
Dude, you don't have them right now. You're not reading stories to them at night.
I know.
You're not giving them midnight snacks. You're not giving them their medicine. You're not waking up with them in the morning.
I know this.
So that should cause you pain.
It does cause me pain.
But I don't see that. I don't see that. I want to see the Chris that cares. I want to see the Chris that, feels bad about what he did and wants to, get this off his chest and be done with it. And let us find your little girls so that they're not out there in the middle of a field or whatever somewhere. Don't do that.
I love those girls to death.
Then show us that. Show us that.
Just because I haven't shed a tear shouldn't make you feel like that the love isn't there for them.
It's weird. It doesn't make sense.
I understand that.
You have to...
I totally see where you're coming from. Trust me, there's nothing... just because
Chris, people can be pushed to the point where they do something that they regret. It happens every single day.
I know.
But once we find these girls and your wife, right, no matter how we find them, no matter what condition they're in, we can keep talking to you and you can tell us, guys, it's not as bad as it looks. And you can say, let me tell you What happened? I was never comfortable with you, Graham, or with you, Tammy. I wasn't comfortable yet. But now that everything's known, now that the girls are found and Shanann's found, however they're found, it's okay. We can keep talking to you. Okay?
Chris, did Shanann do something to them?
No, I don't know.
I'm serious.
I have no clue.
No, you would have known, because they didn't leave the house.
Did
Did Shanann do something to them, and then did you feel like you had to do something to Shanann?
They were at the house when I left. They were there.
They weren't there. They didn't leave. They vanished.
They were
The only way they could have left is in your truck.
There's no way, because, like, I didn't just throw them in my truck.
Something happened in the house that you know about. You failed the polygraph test, Chris. This is not about, did you leave and your wife vanished and you didn't know anything about it. That was not what you were asked, okay?
Okay.
We know that something happened to all three of them. But I want to know, did something happen to these baby girls first that you had to take into your own hands and deal with?
You had to clean it up for Shanann.
And you either cleaned up after Shanann or you made the mistake, and I mean, I want to believe that maybe Shanann did it and you felt compelled to fix this so Shanann didn't look bad. That's what I want to believe. But I don't know, you're not telling me that, so it makes me think the worst. Like, did you
I did not
do
do
that to all
anything.
three of them?
I did
Like,
not do anything to these kids. Not do anything.
what did Shanann do to them? Tell us, Chris. Chicks are crazy.
Can I talk to my dad or something?
Absolutely. Do
Come.
you want to bring him in here?
No, I just need to talk to my dad. Like, flew across the country.
Hey, Chris,
I can't.
how about this? If we brought your dad in here, would you please tell him what happened?
Can I just go talk to him? I've been in here for like 5 or 6 hours, and now I'm like,
Absolutely. Chris, look at me, man. It's not going to feel any better. He deserves an answer.
It's your best friend.
There's only one person you wanted here most, and it's your dad.
yes.
What would you tell him?
I love him, and I just want him to be by my side.
Before we get him,
Can I go out there and talk to him?
well, I don't know that you want to do it out there, because there's a lot of people going through the halls. Should we bring him in here?
We'll step out. Okay?
Do you need a few minutes with him?
Okay.
Well, how about this? If we bring in your dad, will you promise me that you'll talk to him?
I'll talk to him.
Okay. Will you promise me that you'll tell him everything? Would it be easier if you told him and he told us?
I don't know.
Okay. I guess I'm just worried that if we bring your dad in here, it could distract you. What do you think?
Distract me from, like, talking to you?
Yeah.
I just need to talk to him.
Okay.
And you need to realize that your dad is not going to stop loving you no matter what you tell him. You are his child, and he will not stop loving you.
Never.
Ever.
And this is not the last chapter in anyone's story at all. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So let's break down the August 15th, 2018 interrogation and partial confession, specifically looking at the psychological approach. Both FBI agent Graham Coder and CBI agent Tammy Lee used a soft but persistent method of interrogation. They did not start with accusations, but instead presented themselves as allies seeking the truth. The key techniques used were minimization strategies, suggesting that if something something happened in the heat of the moment, it would be understandable. Empathy tactics, in which they told Chris they understood how things could go wrong and he wasn't a monster. Tammy Lee actually was quoted saying, "We're not judging you, Chris. People snap, people make mistakes, but we can't help if you don't tell us the truth." Now let's go over Chris's shifting story. At first, Chris Watts continued to claim that he didn't know where Shanann or the kids were, but he knew the evidence was piling up, specifically the surveillance video, phone data, and polygraph failure. Tammy and Graham Coder pressured him for hours, pointing out inconsistencies and urging Chris to come clean for the sake of his daughters. Tammy even asked Chris again and again if Shanann hurt the kids, implying maybe he reacted. However, Chris Watts denies this at first, still hoping to maintain his story. Eventually, he becomes silent, withdrawn, breathing heavily, and asks, "Can I talk to my dad?" Why did Chris Watts ask for his dad? Chris asking for his father, Ronnie Watts, is often seen as a turning point in the interrogation. Under a psychological analysis, you could take a look at emotional fatigue, in which Chris had been interrogated for over 5 hours and was emotionally drained, leading to the need for comfort. Chris likely felt cornered and needed someone he trusted to support him. He wanted to confess, but not alone. Having his father, Ronnie, present provided emotional validation and a buffer from the pressure of the investigators. The partial confession with Ronnie Watts present was a critical moment because once Ronnie enters the room, the agents leave the two alone. Chris Watts quickly begins sobbing. Then he tells his father a false version of events. Chris stating this to his father, Ronnie, quote, "I saw her strangling Celeste. She was on top of her. I lost it. I lost it and I did the same to her," end quote. Chris Watts tells Ronnie that Shanann killed the girls and that he killed Shanann in a rage. Of course, this story was a lie, but it was his first admission to killing his wife. He falsely painted himself as a grieving father who acted in retaliation. Ronnie Watts appeared to be confused and heartbroken, but actually doesn't confront Chris. Ronnie quietly tries to process what his son is saying. After Chris's partial confession to his dad, both agents re-enter and get him to repeat what he told his father. Chris sticks to the same story. Shanann killed the girls and he killed her in response. He then agrees to show police where he buried the bodies, in an oil field where he worked. The bodies of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and baby Nico were recovered on August 16th, 2018. Why does this moment of the partial confessions matter? Well, the August 15 confession scene stands out in true crime history because it illustrates the following: the power of psychological interrogation techniques, how emotional leverage, in this case his father's presence, can be more effective than aggression, and how a killer will often lie to preserve an image even when admitting guilt. Chris Watts' request to see his father, followed by his emotionally manipulated partial confession, truly marked the moment when the truth began to unravel.